All right, so this is KWAY-WEEKEND. My name is Jamil Lessie. I am the writer and the creator of Absolver, and I got a dope panel here with me. And right now, the topic is the hottest, the baddest, and the realest indie characters. So I'm gonna give everybody opportunity to introduce themselves. So we're gonna start with Spicy Lady, Jai Reed, and Avery. Tell us about yourselves and let's go.
Awesome. Yes. My name is Spicy Lady. I am a content creator, writer, cosplayer, you name it, dancer, but also lover of comics first. It's nice to be on here on the panel today.
All right.
All right. My name is Jairi. I'm the writer creator of Deja Vu. I've been with Concrete now for about 2 years and ready to talk some indie characters, man.
All right. I'm Avery. I'm the writer of Primate, and I'm the youngest writer on Concrete. So, yeah.
Okay. So let's get started in any order. So outside of Marvel and DC, the indie community has, let me rephrase that. The indie community has been taken over. I think it's very important that we're here in this space. So I just want to know from everybody, why do y'all feel like the indie community is very important to y'all individually, and what has the indie community done for you to this point? What makes it different from the big two, Marvel and DC? And then from there, we're just transitioning talking about the indie characters that influenced everybody. So Avery, let's start with you.
All right. So I personally like indie comics just because it's, just something different from the big two. Like in Marvel and DC, you've got our established characters like your Spider-Man, Batman, Supermans, and there's a status quo with characters. Like you can't really break out of that mold. But, with indie characters, it's just a completely different world where people can write their own thing, control their own narrative. And yeah, it's just new, different storytelling that we don't see with the.
All right. Jari?
For me, I think the indie comic book space is important to me because it's a lot more tangible, right? When you look at the big two, that's more that pie in the sky dream scenario where you can be Spider-Man. But when you look at the indie space, the content feels a bit more raw, it feels more tangible, it feels more grounded in realism. Look at what Concrete has built over the past 5 years. We've been able to grab creators from all around the country and come together, write our own individual stories, and put it out there and share that space. So for me, is the fact that you could reach out and you could touch it and you can feel it.
All right, and Spicy Lady.
Yeah, I think I agree with everyone here. I think it's just it's fresh ideas, new characters, whereas the big two, they kind of center on the main popular characters, where new characters might come into the fray, but they may not be as prominent in like the main storylines. Whereas indie comics, new characters get a time to shine, and that's what I really enjoy, just seeing new batches of characters get the development that they deserve, and just kind of seeing new perspectives and new spins and takes of certain power sets or whatever have you. So that's why I love indie comics.
All right. For me, one is very obtainable. Without the indie space, you're chasing that dream job working for Marvel and DC. And I guess one of the biggest reasons for me is I'm allowed to break the rules. Like, I have this dope concept of this Batman story that I've always wanted to write, but my chances of writing that is very far-fetched. So now I just get to create a rendition of Batman and break all those rules, and then I get everybody touched on. It's just the creative freedom, and I hate the fact that in the next year we're going to get a reset on Batman. So we're back to issue 1. Same thing for Spider-Man. Same thing with Superman. Same thing with Iron Man. Back to issue 1. So yeah, that's why I love the indie space and why I feel it's so important. So with that being said, Name some indie titles or characters that very prominent in you got in your catalog. I think we could go as big as Image Comics and Boom Studios. We definitely want to leave out Marvel and DC. So whoever wants to go first, just rock. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, go ahead. Hey, were you good? Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I got it. Okay, so all right. So Hellboy from Dark Horse, he's like been my favorite character for a while. Out in all comics. Just because for me personally and for a lot of people, like he's kind of relatable. He's destined for basically to be the harbinger of the apocalypse, but he's trying to kill, basically he's just a normal guy demon, but he's got different sides pulling him in. On one hand, the BPRD, they want him to fight demons, they want him to fight his own kind, and then on the other hand, Hell wants him to attain his destiny and things like that, and he's being pulled in all these different directions. And I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. Just being pulled in different directions when you want something, but that's not really being considered, I guess.
All right, that's cool. Next,
I'll jump in and go next. For me, my favorite indie character. So I think I'm gonna cheat just a little bit, but I'm gonna explain why. So my favorite indie character is Grifter from the Wildcats. So this was one of the first comics that I ever got in my entire life. I know that they eventually got over to DC. I was just looking it up. I think it looks like it was around 1999, 2000. So I'm gonna date myself a little bit, but before they were with DC, I had some of the Wildcats, and Grifter. He was just like, he had that cool factor that a lot of the big two had, but in a different space. And to Jamil's earlier point of kind of breaking the rules, like he was doing things that you didn't see Spider-Man do. He would do things that Batman couldn't do. Right? To me, he was kind of like the original Red Hood in some aspects in how he maneuvered. Even with his design, I think he had one of the dopest character designs at the time. It was one of the first characters I ever learned how to draw. So for me, Grifter was like that guy outside of the big two.
All right. Yeah, Grifter did look cool as shit. I ain't gonna I love Grifter's design. Spicy.
I think for me it's two characters. One being Red Sonja. Only because I love badass women characters who carry swords. I have a affliction to them. Well, I'm not, that's the wrong word. I like them. Kind of goes into me why I like liking Cher or whatever. But I've been collecting a lot of her comics recently. And then I like Vampirella just because she's really cool. She's badass. So those are like the two ones I really enjoy. And I like the free comic book day I think Vampirella had with Alex Cross did like the cover art for it, and I was so excited. But yeah, those are my two favorite ones.
All right. Well, everybody that know me knows Spawn. Definitely Spawn. At the time, let me see. I grew up watching Batman and Superman and all of that. So then one day, I don't know, we moved somewhere in South Carolina, and this dude just brought in this dope comic book, and this character looked dope as hell. Because DC and Marvel wasn't doing the cloaks and the spikes and the demons and all of that. So I just got infatuated with the character, but mainly because he looked cool. So Spawn would just, for me, you just wasn't seeing heroes look like that with the skulls and the chains and all of that. And then if I had any runner-ups, it'd be the Darkness, and then definitely Witchblade. I love Witchblade. I think she's like one of the dopest female characters out there, and she does not get enough love. But yeah, that's it for me. But here's a very important question. So we understand indie is short for independent. So outside of the definition, though, when is something no longer considered indie? And not by definition, because I think Spawn has become very mainstream now. You know what I'm saying? So in terms of so Image Comics and Spawn is definitely not in the same realm as Concrete Comics. You know, you can definitely say Image Comics and not Boom Studios is definitely getting up there with Marvel and DC. So should we like reclassify it, or do we keep them there because you know they're not as big? You know, whoever want to take charge, I'm cool with it.
You know, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked this, but I'm also not glad you asked this because I don't have an answer for it.
Right.
Because this is one of those things that have, like, ever since I started, you know, publishing Deja Vu and everything like that. This is one of the things that actually kind of had me a bit perplexed. You could say is, you know, everybody knows Spawn. Spawn is almost as common as the Batmans of the world, right? So how do they get that indie classification? I think it's just one of those things that just stuck, right? I think it's more so how they became what they became. And once you get that title, you just never lose. I guess you're just always a part of the club at that point. It's really just anything outside of, you know, the DCs and the Marvels. But when you look at Boom, you know what they're doing with the Power Rangers. That's been around, what, 30 years now. Countless issues, countless titles, countless stories, huge popularity there. The TMNT run, that's wildly popular.
Yeah.
So I don't know what keeps them in that indie realm. But yeah, I think it's just about how you came up or how you got into the business.
I like that. Anybody else?
I don't know. Usually just this, you know, indie with creator owned, pretty much. Like if you're able to, you know, maintain the rights to the characters and write the character how you want without, you know, an editor telling you to change this and change that. That's basically, you know, what I associate indie with. So.
What about you, Spicy?
No, yeah, I agree.
Well, Avery, I think you made a very good point just then, though, right? Because, you know, when you think Spawn, like, McFarlane is always attached to that, right? Like, they're almost synonymous at this point. But when you look at, you know, Spider-Man, he's had several different writers. Daredevil has had several different writers, and you just think of their run. But when you think of Spawn, you think of McFarlane. So
McFarlane. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
No, I'm saying like McFarlane really like drove the blueprint for the indie space in terms of like incentive wise and like how, you know, publishers get paid. So I really appreciate him for that. And I watched a documentary of him explaining everything, which I thought was really cool with his time at Marvel and him just seeing like writers not getting paid their worth and how he just created his whole structure and then the toy line. So I think he himself was probably like a really cool like reach, I guess, or goalpost in terms of like indie creator that I feel like I look up to just off of like what he kind of like created for the space.
Okay, so based on what everybody is saying, so Spicy is saying, to my understanding, Todd McFarlane would represent the goal line for an indie creator. But Jari, you said that because he's closely tied to it and constantly writing it. So, like yourself, let's like us, we want to do multiple titles. I get another writer on Absolver because I want to focus on my other titles. Does that take Absolver outside of that understanding of indie? Not definition, but what we classify it as. You know, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, because it's all in a two-part question. Is it also safe to say that Spawn has transcended? We can no longer call him indie. You know, is Boom Studio still considered an indie comic book company for the simple fact, you know, now that they're writing Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Like, what if somebody gave Concrete Street Sharks? Does that take us out of that realm? So I don't know. Answer these questions. I know it's a lot, but let's figure it out.
Hey, first of all, do we have to acknowledge this invader
No, I purposely ignored him. I purposely ignored him, Larry.
When I heard Jamil was running the panel, I had to come in here and make sure there was no PR I needed to do, clean up. Everybody was fine.
It gets that bad? Hold on.
Yeah, we
okay.
definitely got to keep the HR rep on standby.
That's what I'm saying. If y'all need anything, just put one finger up in the air. We'll get somebody right over there to take him out of the room.
Notice everything was smooth and clean till he showed up. That's all I gotta say. You know,
he came in real worried. I was like, okay, what's going on?
I was so worried, man. I knew Avery was in here. I was worried for Avery. I said, oh no, not Avery, man. Come on, man. Can't do it. So you know what I'm saying, but I heard your conversation though, man. It's been pretty interesting, man. I'm liking some of y'all takes on this.
So all right, so let's jump back into the scenario where Mr. Leslie is no longer writing Absolver. Does that take him out of the indie creator space? I say no. I say no for the immediate future, but you know, if Concrete gets to where we all imagine that it will be, I think that may bump you out at some point. You know, 5-10 years from now, if you know you're so far removed from it where you're no longer synonymous with the character, if that makes sense.
I feel like none of us are indie creators right now, because what necessarily is an indie creator, right? Marvel is independently producing their books. DC is independently producing their books, and they just hire writers to write them, but they're all independently produced within their company. We do the same exact thing. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that term indie creator, indie comic is like to maintain the line bordering, oh, no, these guys are mainstream. Anything beneath that line is an indie guy. They're not deemed on the same level as we are.
But then my question is, what's the line? Because in this community, we still consider Todd McFarlane and Spawn indie. And we're not even talking about in the sense of indie, short for independent, because anybody can be independent. It's just that Marvel and DC is at a level. So when is it okay to say you are Marvel and DC's level? Is it a financial situation? Is it a love and respect situation? Like if we got to the point, when Concrete gets to the point that we are known and loved like Marvel and DC, does that take us out of the classification of what we call indie?
I don't think so, because you look at Black Saiyans, look at Rippaverse, those dudes made millions of dollars and they still indie. And so it's like, you know, I don't know who created the indie term, but to me it's just it's like to make sure we never ever cross that line and be considered amongst those.
So Spicy and Avery, what y'all thinking? Oh, y'all ain't gonna be quiet on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Like, you know, when we talk about indie music, indie movies, you know, just a different classification. Like when we think of an indie film, we think of, I guess, something that doesn't go to theaters, something that's not mainstream. So, I get that point. Yeah.
Spicy.
You know what?
I mean, let Spicy get some words in.
Oh no, I don't know. I think it's definitely I do believe in terms of like what's known and what's not like as popular. But I do think at the grand scheme of things, as a creator, it is the backing. I do lean a little bit more on the financial side of it. But that's just me. But I think what everyone's saying is pretty on brand. I'm kind of, I can't really dip my toe into this much because I don't really know much about it. So.
But no, I agree with exactly what you just said. I think there's a financial component to it, and kind of to what Lonzo was saying, it's almost like a toll gate, right? That you got to cross in order to crack into that mainstream. Because when Avery mentioned the film world, something that I'm a little bit more familiar with, you know, you can make a high quality product, but if you don't have a certain financial backing or budget, they'll classify it as an indie because you didn't spend, you know, $100 million on it. But the quality is still there. But people also look at it at a different lens when it's like, hey, this is a $800,000 budget film. They go into it with a different lens, like, oh, this is an indie film versus an $800 million film, where it's like, oh, this is a big mainstream production. So I do think there's a financial component of it that really nobody like wants to quite speak about, because a lot of times that plays directly into it. You know, you can get classified by, you know, your net worth sometimes, and that's just what it is.
You guys don't think timing, I'm trying to word it properly, timing plays a part? Like, for instance, it's fair to say when we all were born, we came to this world with Marvel and DC in existence. So to us, they're a big deal. To somebody else that grew up when they just started, they're like, huh, just Marvel and DC. So maybe, what, 2 decades from now, you see a couple of concrete comic books on the shelves. To 2 decades from now, we're a big deal. With us, we just trying to crack whatever that line DC and Marvel, that bar they set. So you don't think that plays a part? One. And two, back to the movie thing. What's that that scary movie where those kids got lost in the woods?
Blair Witch.
Blair Witch. I'm pretty sure that had a very low budget.
Very low budget.
So I don't think the budget necessarily classifies it. You know.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't think, you know, that was, you know, definitely a long time ago now, but I don't think Blair Witch was out there as a mainstream movie. It went through like the film festival circuit, and it was more of what did they pitch it as? Found footage film. That's what they were calling it. And that was like this little, like, cool little niche thing, and then it took off. So I think it was one of those things where it was just a massive hit, and that's what created the buzz around it. So to your point, right? Like, now timing, right? So now, you know, people hear Blair Witch and it's almost like a cult classic, right? Like, it's cemented in most people's brains of a certain age, where it's like, I remember where I was when I saw that, right? So now it definitely feels like a big project, but at the time, I don't think it was framed up as, hey, I got this massive mainstream hit that I'm about to drop summer of what was it, like 98, 99, whatever it was.
Yeah, I feel like it's perception too. Like, tapping into what you were saying, Jamil, about, you know, we grew up, this thing was already in existence, like how we look at Toys R Us or whatever like that, or KB Toys, right? And now, you know, they just look at Walmart. They're like, what the hell is KB Toys? You know what I'm saying? What is that? But, you know, we grew up with like Kitty City and stuff like that. So perception definitely plays a part. But I really, I don't know, something in my spirit just feels like it was a line created to make sure they can continue being the dominant ones, in that no one ever peeks over that hill and be like, yo, we're just like them. Because people look at like Boom Studios and all those other guys. Do y'all consider them independents as well? You know what I mean?
Well, that's easy. So I believe, like I said, I believe you can no longer, I believe by definition, Spawn is very much independent, but based on success and length of success, and, you know, he's very much mainstream. I believe it just boils down to that. You know, you can go up to 10 people and say, do you know Spawn? Whether they're read it or not, yeah, I heard of him. But I feel like when it comes to that, okay, that's considered mainstream. And we're getting to that point where you can walk up to 10 people, hey, do you know who Primate is? Who? Primate, bro. Yo, check out this book, concretecomics.com. So I believe, based on this conversation, I think it just boils down to how well known you are. You can be independent by definition, for sure, and by the money or however you handle it. But if you could walk in a room and majority of that room know who you are, then I believe you've crossed over. So I believe that's the answer we was looking for. Personally, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I believe it's popularity, I guess.
So one thing that one of the old heads in the community said to me, he said, once we went to Diamond, we were no longer indie because we have a major distribution now, and we can get directly into the big markets, just like a music artist with a record deal. You know, now they're in major settings. They can go to certain places. Like we can apply for professional tables now because of our status. So technically, we're indie on popularity, but on status wise, we could be considered just like you consider anybody else.
Okay, so if you use Tech Nine was a big independent artist, very popular.
Right.
You know, made lots of money, and everybody know who Tech Nine is. Um, you know, so based on what you said, and what I'm saying is, once you reach a level of popularity and people knowing you, you're no longer mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a very you know what, I'm curious to think what, because I don't know too much about the anime and manga world. So Spicy, if you know a little bit about that world, right? So when it
Yeah.
comes to the indie titles there and in the mainstream titles, is there, if to me it feels like it's more based on the creator who created this, because they could just be just a name that's popular and y'all will just jump to it, read it, buy everything that they got. Versus, I don't really hear too many people talking about the publishers too often. I just hear like this book, that book. You know what I mean? Like how does that
Yeah.
world navigate?
It depends. 'Cause I know like Shonen Jump, and then there's like other publications that can like that have manga, but like on the first Shonen Jump specifically, you see a lot of new titles get thrown under the rug within their first like few months. Like I
Mm,
know there was this rule where it's like, I think where it's like, if a series on Shonen Jump doesn't do well within its first like 8 chapters, something like that, some along those lines, then they kind of don't really push it further than that. So I think it's a little bit more high stakes
mm,
because it's like they kind of want to gravitate like that buzz. Whereas now all you really see JJK, Kaiju number 8, and like the main popular manga series kind of like are continuing, where the other ones that are new may not get like the shine as what those series do. So but I do know it's a little bit more like high stakes and more daunting on the mangaka, because of that push of wanting to get something popular out.
mm.
Okay, that's dope. So so let's go back to where we started with our characters outside of Spawn. So Avery, why would you still consider Hellboy, based on the conversation indie and not mainstream? Because he's had 3 attempts at movies, you know, and everybody knows Hellboy, but you still called him out. So why would you consider him still independent?
Yeah. To get back to what I was saying, just I think because Mike Mignola, he's been the Hellboy guy mostly. Like he's the one who's been writing it. He's been, you know, behind every project. He's been involved in every movie. Um, yeah, I guess that's it.
Mm.
Okay, I hear that. And so, and Spicy, what about Red Sonja? Why would you still
Um,
consider that? Because she had quite a few movies. I went with
she
one or two.
They were, yeah, but they were like straight to like DVD. I don't think they were that good. But I yeah, I just don't think too many people know about her. I feel like people more a little bit more about Vampirella more so than Red Sonja. But I just, in my opinion, I just don't know. I don't think people know much about her. But I do enjoy her stories. I do enjoy like the rawness of her character from what I've like gotten from her in the comics that I've had. But yeah, in terms of like Blade and Hellboy, I don't think people know much unless they're like real diehard like fans. But I don't think if you go up to someone on the street, be like, "Hey, you know Red Sonja?" They'd be like, "Who?" Like, "Oh, she has like
But
a sword."
but I believe Hellboy and Red Sonja have a decent amount of fans though. Even if you just call them cult, and Vampirella, you know, cult.
Yeah,
So you know, would would they still not be considered? They crossed that line of mainstream.
I don't think
you don't got to be as popular as the popular kid. You can still be well known. You know, like
hey yo, you know what's dope when you think about The Boys and Umbrella Academy and stuff like that. Those are comic books as well. No one really knows, like you know what I mean, but they're basically mainstream now because of their popularity. You know what I mean? Everybody knows The Boys. Everybody knows Invincible, Walking Dead. You know what I mean? Stories like that. They're like mainstream in a whole nother medium. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. It's mind boggling, man.
it sounds like popularity is the answer. Then
Well, yeah.
go ahead. You about to ask a question? You can have the floor. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say because like, that was like Invincible. Like the books were popular, but like the animation series really kind of like took the helm for that, geared that, like, don't you think? Same with the Umbrella Academy. Like, I didn't know it was a comic book series until I did my own research on it. So like, do you think that certain media kind of like are more easily accessible to people and fans in terms of that, and outside of the comic book space?
Umbrella Academy, Stranger Things, all of them.
I mean, if media helps drive it, I believe so. But then does that make it mainstream as far as TV goes? Where does a comic lie? Because I was reading Invincible long before the cartoon even came out. You know, so damn, that is real good.
See,
God,
see, and I'm on the exact opposite end of that because I had never seen a Boys comic book. I had never seen Invincible comic book until after the TV shows. So I think once you kind of cross genres and reach that level of popularity in a whole different medium, I think that's worth discussion. But I think it's all the more and more we talk about it, it's really all semantics when you talk about indie versus because it's really just anything. Basically, indie is basically anything outside of Marvel and DC. And a long time ago, somebody decided like we're the juggernauts here, and everybody else is beneath that line. And I think it's just one of those things that just continue. But I think the more and more you break down those barriers, you really got to ask yourself, does it even matter, right? Because you look at the popularity and the success of Invincible's Image, everybody else that we've been talking about here. Does it really matter? Because they all have their own fan bases and they all are doing very well, obviously, because it's so popular.
I think that's true. I love what you're saying. I just hate the label. You know what I'm saying? Because it feels like why? I'm independently pushing this product, but that doesn't make our product less than that because it's not it's not seen on the grand scheme as, like I would consider Hellboy a mainstream title because of it, all the mediums it's in video games. He's in Mortal Kombat, or not Mortal Kombat. He was in Injustice, right?
Justice.
He's in Injustice. You know what I'm saying? The Ninja Turtles, they're comic books with IDW, right? You know what I mean? What do we consider IDW? Is that indie? Because they got Transformers, they got some stuff over there.
But I think it's unfair to. I don't think it's right that we call IDW and stuff like again. It's easy to classify Marvel and DC. Image Comics is literally made up of independent creators and stories. So now it's a matter of transcending. IDW can very much well be mainstream. It's just not as popular as Marvel and DC, or well known. You ask somebody, oh, you read IDW comic books? Who? They make Transformers, they make blase. Yeah, all of that. Sonic. They did Sonic. I thought it was Boom.
The new Sonic series, I think they do them too.
See, I didn't even know that. So, because there's levels to everything. Yeah. So So that's what I'm saying. So I think it's a matter of who crosses over, because Primate and Deja Vu can very much well cross over, and Acolyte and Absolver is still trying to get there. We don't have a TV show. We don't have, Primate and Deja Vu get the cartoons and the movies and stuff, and then Absolver and Acolyte still out here trying to pitch. Like, bro, what's
still
up?
Still out here starving, man.
You feel me? So I think it's a matter of when you transcend and at what level you on, because you can be high class but lower level. I got $1 million, but you got 350 million sitting in your bank account. I'm still a millionaire, but I ain't got 300 of it. So
hearing that makes a lot of sense, because there's a tier within indie comics. There's tiers in here. There's the guys just coming in, and then and I'll use Jari and Avery as an example. With y'all being a part of Concrete, automatically puts y'all above a lot of newer guys that's coming out, because y'all are attached to something bigger than just an indie creator by himself. You know what I mean? So I think a little bit of perception lies in there as well.
I just think I'm gonna end with this. We close out. I just feel Marvel and DC gets that because they've been around since like the 1700s and shit. So you got to go back like how many generations before they ever existed. But I think there's a lot of mainstream. I think Dark Horse, Top Cow, IDW, Boom Studios, Dynamite possibly at one point. I do believe they're all mainstream for the simple fact of longevity, how long they've been around, and the titles they carry. It's safe to say that Image is made up of independent characters and stories. So, Walking Dead transcended, Invincible transcended, Spawn transcended, but not Image Comics. And I think Concrete is kind of built in the Image Comics sense. Well, foundationally, but we do have a joint universe. But there's still room for Primate to transcend, and the rest of us still trying. So, yeah, I think that's it. Spicy, Avery, I need y'all to end on something because the world need to hear y'all. Go ahead.
What do you want me to say?
Whatever's on your mind, Hellboy.
I'm gonna just talk about Primate. Issue 2 is coming soon. Hopefully, we got one more page, so stay tuned. It's gonna be better than the first one, I think. So yeah, get ready for it.
Hey, major shout out to Avery too with Primate, man. Your growth was fire. I know how you started, how you began with Primate, your first hiccups that you had, and I'm just happy to see people really receiving your book, man, and loving it, man. Like I knew they were gonna love it, dog. You know what I'm saying? I love the book. Is one of my favorites. I know Mr. Leslie likes to think that I'm a Boy Scout and I don't like blood and stuff, but I love Primate, man.
No, Primate is a dope story. There's a funny story. I think it's safe to talk about it now, man. Some interviewer was going in on Primate, bro. So when we went on his show, his live in that comment section, and we tore him up. We tore him up, bro. I think after that his show started to fall apart. He's now starting to pop out again, but we tore him up, bro. That's how much love and respect we have for Primate. Oh man, such a beautiful read because it is violent, it's real. Okay? He's definitely a grounded character. I love him. Spicy, what's up? Tell us about what you do.
I've been just reviewing comics. Right now I'm covering the latest Marvel Blood Hunt tie-in issues. So because there's gonna be like 80 million of them. So I'm trying to hop in while it's hot. But it's been fun kind of learning more about Brielle, who's Blade's daughter. I'm just, trying to pump that out and get people interested in comics because it can seem scary at first, but I mean, once you kind of figure out the lay of the land, it's a lot of fun. So hopefully I get to open other people's worlds up to that.
All right. So where can we follow your reviews?
Yeah, you can follow me on YouTube at Spicy Lady Talks, TikTok at Spicy Lady Entertainment. Yeah, Spicy Lady Entertainment, and Instagram Spicy Lady Entertainment.
All right.
Hey, a real quick tap into Spicy, man. Your content is fire. I love how you break down I love how you just got the knowledge. Like I'm always in awe by the people of y'all content creators and y'all genre, like how y'all consume information and are able to relay it out. Like I think that's fire. I love the break you did of Organic Chrissy as well. So
thank you.
All right. Yo, watch out for Lonzo. He's a Drake ass person, you know, ghostwriting. He's gonna steal what you do, and he's gonna tie you to concrete and shut your channel down just like Drake in OVO.
I knew it was a matter of before his
it was a matter of time before it just all fell apart.
Exactly. It was a matter of time.
Yo, you pushed him over the edge, man.
Yeah. We was clean and professional before he joined. All right, Jari, tell us about Mr. Deja Vu.
So Deja Vu, all right, Avery. Since we plugging books, man, we got a couple of Deja Vu projects coming out. I will talk about issue 3. So issue 3 is already done and finished. It's been doing really well out there on the convention circuit. So we've taken it to Philly Fan Expo, Blurred Bash Chicago, and people are giving some rave reviews around that. So that will be coming to the Concrete Comics site here soon. So stay tuned for more information on that. And then I got a top secret reveal that you gotta stay locked in for. So that's coming. But it is centered around Deja Vu, and I think it's what the people want to see. So looking forward to that.
All right, we're gonna Lonzo.
I gotta. Before you even come back to me. I got a way to end this thing.
Go ahead. Oh, you want to end it?
So, yeah. I want to end it.
All right, Mr. Part-time CEO, tell us how you feel. You trying? Where do you see Concrete? What level we're in, and where do you see us next year, or 2 years from now, 3 years from now? When and how do we transcend? What's up, Mr. CEO, fake CEO?
I thought you were talking to Jari, bro.
No, I was talking to you.
Oh, my bad, bro. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, hold on. I apologize. As you know, man, I just came here to make sure everybody in here was safe, bro. I really didn't come in here for me at all. It was really about them, man. I want to make sure Avery wasn't corrupted. Spicy felt okay and safe. When Jari wasn't checking out either. So I'm glad to see that they're all doing good and that your PTSD didn't kick in on this stream. And we're good, man. Concrete Comics to the world, man. I see us really leveling up and taking on. I think the con circuit is going to be something we really show who we are at, man. And I'm excited for what's to come after this 5 years, because now we got another 5 years to blow this 5 years out the water. So I'm ready to get to it.
All right, so well, there you go.
Right.
There you have it.
So
go ahead.
Here's what I want to end on. I want to stir the pot before we all get out of here. I need everybody to tell me who's their favorite Concrete Comics character, and you can't choose your own.
Oh,
Avery,
Primate.
who you got?
I got Primate for sure.
Gotta give it to Absolver, you know.
Appreciate
All
it.
All right. What's going on? Spicy, who you got? You got pick of the litter since you don't have a character with us. Who you got?
I do like Odina. I know everyone chooses that character a lot, but I do like her. She's like my second choice between Organic Chrissy. God, I'm a fitness girl, so I just love fitness characters.
Mm-hmm. Good choice. Lonzo, who you got? It's my question. I got to answer last.
It's on me. Damn. You said that's not my own, right?
Yes.
Bro, just the other day you said it was Absolver, dog. Stop capping. Let's roll.
Never. I would die if I said that. I don't know. I think you know what? I'm gonna say Base Force. Fuck it. I like Base Force a lot.
Okay. No, so mine is definitely Odina. That was the first character that I gravitated towards. Love the growth and development of that character. And I know Anaji got issue 5 out right now. Some big things coming. So shout out to Anaji, man.
Shout out to Anaji, man. He got 2. No one in here tell him that he got 2 votes, though. Right? No one say nothing about this. Okay. Don't say nothing about this. All right. He's already in the clouds. Don't do this. All right.
But oh man, this was a dope panel, everybody. Thanks for being a part. And let's enjoy this KWAY weekend. You know?
Support the Patreon. Sir.
Yeah, support the Patreon. ConcreteComics.com. Let's go. We out.